Hey, John, what did you specifically work on, and what were you hoping to show the scouts on Pro Day?
So I went to Florida, down in Naples area, and trained with a trainer that was recommended to me. And we just worked on a whole bunch of agility stuff and really learning to move well, and as well as all the standard stuff you really train for like a combine or a pro day.
And just it must have been very disappointing when that got canceled on you.
Yeah, it was disappointing, but also a little confusing, to be honest with you, because at
Okay.
first everything seemed like it was being pushed back. And at the time, we were all very optimistic would be like a 2-3 week, maybe a month deal, and that actually, like sometime like right now, we'd be doing our own pro day. It was just getting postponed and postponed. But obviously, as the weeks went on, we found out it was a little more serious than we all were hoping for.
Surrender the floor.
Um, John, without the pro day and without that, just how has that changed, what you've tried to do or how you've had, or what you've been able to do to let teams know about your skill set and how have you been able to adapt to the changing process?
It's honestly a change for everyone, the scouts and NFL teams included. Obviously, they can't do the stuff they normally do on a yearly basis to interview players. And one of the things I did is I ended up going back to where I was training, and I filmed like a mock pro day, if you will. And that was something my agent thought was going to be smart to do, and it turns out it's what a lot of people around the country were doing. And he basically sent that out to the teams. And other than that, I've just been trying to work out and just stay ready, because it's one of those things you really don't know when this is going to end, or if it's going to be next week or a couple months from now. So it's all about staying prepared and in the best shape you can be in to go whenever you're called to.
On top of that, I know AJ had mentioned to us when we talked to him this week, just that his workouts had changed, that you went from working with trainers in a gym to doing a lot more down home, running stairs and sit-ups. For you as a lineman, what are some of the things that you had to do once you couldn't go to gyms?
Well, I was actually very fortunate. My high school allowed me to go in and take some equipment from their weight room. And so I have a full squat rack, and I can do just about every power lift I need to in the comfort of my own garage. And again, I'm extremely blessed for that, because I know some of the guys that I played with, they're doing, I call them barn workouts. I mean, they're just picking up stuff around their garage and lifting with that. But I'm fortunate enough I can run outside, and my neighborhood's pretty spread out, and there's a few local parks that if it's too wet in my grass to do like pass sets and stuff like that, I try and go there, and just wherever I can find the work, honestly.
We'll go next to Dan with Channel 4, and then Julian.
Hey, John, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, thanks. Just a quick question. Where are you going to be for the draft? And are your family going to be with you? What's the whole get up and setup that you have?
So I'm going to be staying at home in Syracuse, and I probably won't have any other besides my immediate family, my two siblings, and then my parents with me. Just want to keep it small. And I know like I have a big family in Syracuse, and I know that they'd love to come and hang out, but honestly, it's not the right move at this point. Try and keep it small, because if we do have to move, if I do have to go somewhere immediately after that, I don't want any chance of, being sick or, staying healthy is the goal right now. So.
Awesome. Thanks. Good luck.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Julian, and then Mike.
Hey, John, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Alive and kicking, man. Trying to.
I hear you.
Yep. Just a quick question in detail. Who's your agent?
My agent is Cliff Brady of Capital Sports Advisors.
Cool. And when he brought the idea of kind of like a mock pro day to you, what did you think? And then, like how did it kind of formulate or whatever?
Right. So honestly, I kind of loved it. Like I said earlier, we didn't know when this whole thing would let up. So we didn't know if we were going to have our own thing at BC or if like we wouldn't have one at all. So for me, after training for 10 plus weeks, I was happy to put whatever I could put out there. And I knew that any sort of pro day would be really advantageous for me in this whole process. So I was eager to just get it going and, really put what I can do on tape. And my trainer down there, Derek Touche, he kind of spearheaded the whole operation. He was, as rapidly as he could. He owns his own gym down there. He's getting that set up. He was finding fields for us to run on. The high school we trained at running on, their field basically was closed down. He found us another field. So really he helped spearhead it because he's down there, but it was kind of his deal running it.
I think, and I guess for you, I know obviously it had to be satisfying to actually just, I did this work, I got something to prove, but I guess, what were the methods of just, I don't know, getting it out or getting it to people, and what did you see kind of as the benefits of it?
So for me, like I said, I was just responsible for putting the stuff on tape. We had our own cameraman and stuff there, and honestly, when I finished my workout, that was the last I had to do with it.
Okay.
My agent sent me a couple copies just to show what he was going to send out to teams and what that whole package looked like, and then from there, I just let him do his thing.
Sure. Thanks, man.
No
also, what have you been doing? I think AJ was like, I haven't had a haircut in 2 months. You know what I mean? How have you? This is new and different for everybody, but how have you kind of maintained? How are you keeping in touch with family? How days going by, so on and so forth?
So like I said, I have that gym in my garage, and that's kind of the highlight of my day every day. And aside from that, different things keep going on. I'm really big into the outdoors, and there's plenty of it up here in upstate New York. So I've been spending a lot of time out there, and between the workout and just eating properly and doing all those kind of things, working O-line drills, just finding my little spots in the day. That's pretty much about it. I've started reading again more than I had in college for sure, but
that's what's up. I was gonna say, did you watch Tiger King? But what you reading?
I watched that too, but I was reading American Sniper. It was one of those movies that was kind of
mm-hmm.
It was absolutely powerful, and I just wanted to read the whole story behind the guy.
Is that Bradley Cooper, or am I tripping?
Yeah, Bradley Cooper in that.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
No problem.
We'll go next to Mike.
Thank you, Jason. John, hope you're staying well and safe and mentally well as well. Question for you is a big part of this process in years past, obviously, has been meeting with teams face to face, and you don't get to do that this time around. And I'm curious, how are you planning to go about conveying to these different teams that you have the mental and intellectual aptitude to handle the NFL?
I was very fortunate after the season to be invited to a senior game. I played in the Shrine game down in Tampa, Florida. And part of that process is after the first day you get there and you're just filling out generic paperwork, teams meet with you. And I had a couple meetings with teams, and I was able to, some of them asked me to draw up plays and stuff like that. And that was something I was able to, show to them, something that BC got me, really ready for. And during that, I was able to show them my knowledge of football. But outside of that, to my knowledge, I think teams get 3 Zoom calls or FaceTimes like this per week. So only 3 of them. But outside of that, them calling my coaches and talking to them, it's going to be a lot of trust and of word of mouth, and basic, what Coach Adazio and Coach Trotwine have to convey for that.
And if I can follow up, what is it do you think that you could bring to an NFL team in terms of not only your physical skills, but your mental skill set as well?
Well, I think you kind of said it there. I'm a tough, consistent player who knows what he's doing. And that's, I'm never tried to say I was a freak athlete, but I get my job on a very consistent basis. And I know the game of football, and I'm eager to learn more things. I mean, that's one of the big things is I was talking to guys like Chris and Aaron Montero. They were just saying there's so much to learn. I'm excited about that. I really am. Really excited for this whole new chapter.
Thanks, John. Good luck.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Dan Rubin and then Rich.
AJ described you when he was asked about you as kind of being a father figure type leader in the locker room. For you, first off, just what was it that you saw over the 4 years that helped you, or 4+ years that helped you develop with BC in particular? And kind of building on what you offer to teams, just how have you continued to develop through the workouts and through what would have been your pro day just as an offensive lineman? What are some of the things that you've worked on?
What was that first part?
Just in terms of a leadership role over the last few years with BC, how have you seen that develop through the offensive lineman room?
So it was no mystery when I first got there. Our offensive line was pretty poor, but we grew a lot over my 5 years there. And one of the guys I really tried to watch and learn after was John Baker, and he was always that guy that did everything right and did it to 120%. And he was just someone I molded myself after. And when he left, it was kind of my torch to pick up. And that's just kind of what I tried to do, is lead by example, do everything I possibly could right as well as I could, and try and grab people and take them along with me. And as far as what I've been working on, like I said, I've been working out and doing all that stuff. And I've been, when I was training in Florida, I was down there with a couple quarterbacks, and I was just like, hey, like, if you guys got free time, can you teach me stuff like coverages, like in stuff, stuff you don't really particularly grab on it, like a basic college level, something like that's something you would go to your O-line coach and say, hey, I want to learn more of this, basic formation and like safety rotations and stuff like that. But I was curious to find, more about everything and, be able to see stuff clear on the field.
Good. Can you tell us who you were working with, or is that if not, that's fine. I just figured I'd ask.
Yeah, I'd rather leave his name out personally. Sure. But yeah.
We'll go next to Rich.
You're on mute, Rich.
You get that?
Can you go ask that again, Rich? I think you were on.
Okay. No, I was just saying you started something like 20 games with Chris Lindstrom. I was just wondering, from your impressions, what made him a first-round pick?
Well, aside from Chris was a pretty talented athlete, but aside from that, he was an incredible worker. I mean, just an absolute bulldog. He just kept going and going and going. And his rep from, even practice didn't change from the first rep to the last. It was the same intensity. It was with the same purpose. And honestly, his knowledge of football is just, it's incredible. And I think that's something that scouts, especially for rookies coming in, really look at. And I've had scouts tell me, your buddy Lindstrom, when we interviewed him and we were talking football, like, he just blew us away with everything he knew. So I think a combination of that, and he's just a good person. You're not going to find any bad things about Chris Lindstrom. I don't think anyone's ever said anything negative about him except the kids he plays against. It's just a great kid and works incredibly hard. And I think that combination is why you get drafted so high.
Yeah, you kind of answered my next question, but a lot of times with scouts, there's a coattails effect. Like, there'll be a lot of binoculars on Chris Lindstrom, and then some of them say, well, who's this John Phillips? And is that where you're kind of hoping that exposure maybe helped your profile a little bit?
Oh, absolutely. One of the things that pro teams definitely look at is your versatility. Are you a single position player, or are you a multi-dimensional player? And one of the things Chris definitely showed was that he could play tackle just as well as he could play guard. There's no doubt that when they were watching him at tackle, they saw me playing next to him, and it was, that kind of exposure, or anyone on the offensive line, or even AJ for that matter. They see AJ splitting it for 75 yards, and they're like, oh, he ran right behind that right guard. And any kind of exposure like that, just get your name out there. They see something they like on a play while watching someone else on their team. It's that kind of effect that builds into the draft classes behind you. And I hope that anyone that's watching my tape might see the guys in the next couple of years and say, well, let's keep an eye on this guy. It could be really, it could be a good player for us.
Any other questions for John?
Just one more. Were you hanging out with Mike Walker down in Naples? Isn't he from Naples?
Yes, that's who I was staying with, yeah.
Okay.
Their family kind of took me in. It was kind of nice knowing someone down there.
Yeah, that's a real athletic family down there.
Yeah, they're freaky. They're really what you got to watch out for is Mr. Walker's post-workout workouts. Come home from a workout day, and he's like, oh, what'd you do today? You're like, arms. He's like, okay, we're going to go hit more arms right now. Come outside.
What? Okay. Good stuff.
John, just last from me, this is you're coming out of a run heavy offense, run first offense, and there are certain elements that go to it. But with the Boston College offensive line history, the guys who have obviously have come even before you and in years past, how does that lend itself, both the scheme that you were in and the reputation of coming out as an offensive lineman coming out of Boston College when you're talking to some of these other teams?
One of the things I think BC did really well was we were pretty diverse. I mean, yeah, we ran the ball a lot, but we ran the ball 20 different, scheme styles. We had gap schemes, outside zone, inside zones, insert run plays, counters. I mean, just about every run you could possibly find in a playbook, we had. And that goes with a lot of the passing schemes too. We just had a lot of what I think a lot of NFL teams do. I think you saw one of our most successful plays is something the Titans run too. And, teams like San Francisco run a similar style of offense. I mean, stuff we did there isn't too far off from what, pro teams are doing all over the place. So I think definitely, the versatility we had there has helped with the, next step.
Great, John. Thank you so much. I think that's going to
Thanks,
wrap
John.
up today's call. Everyone, we appreciate you jumping on. And, John, good luck next week. And it's good to see you.